Earlier we had a discussion where you mentioned Mauritius already invests something like 3 billion worth rupees, and that market is growing as well.
Today Africa is the flavor of the month. You know, it's really, everybody talks about Africa. And when you're talking about former, let's say Western Africa or Northern Africa, where the French have more influence, or when you're talking about Nigeria, or when you're talking about Angola, and when you're talking about Zambia or Tanzania, you're talking of two different worlds, or it's one continent. The volumes, the type of business that you can do are totally different. So from my own experience, I must tell you, MindAfrica, we've decided, because we're a small company, we've decided that we will make a selection of a few countries. And the criteria that I've used for the selection is 1, English-speaking nations, and 2, those countries where you have a sort of law tradition of British or English law, and 3, proximity to the country. So what I'm principally talking about are Eastern African countries, Sub-Saharan Africa, and actually, you know, Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the fastest growing countries, parts of the world. I just read a document from the World Bank which says that even for the coming 5 or 6 years, it looks like Sub-Saharan Africa is one part of the world that's going to develop the fastest. If you look at the growth of middle class in those countries, and I like to compare this to, you know, if somebody said in India in the 1990s, just before the big Manmohan Singh revolution, had told people in India that in 20 years down the lane, this is what India, or at least some parts of India, are going to look like, they would have laughed at you in your face. But I think this is what's going to happen in Africa. 15, 20 years down the line, you are going to have this middle class that has grown up, that is demanding products, you know, new and sophisticated products, and somehow, the world will have to supply to them. We will need to focus and position ourselves to take benefit of this.
The value addition which you mentioned, but one thing we know, we have all these regional blocks. You have the SADC, ECOWAS, you have the COMESA countries, Indian Ocean Rim. We've got the feeling that they are, maybe we are wrong, but we've got the feeling that these regional blocks are not really, apart from some of the custom barriers which is coming down, there's nothing more than just custom barriers, especially the non-tariff barriers.
You still have difficulties, but a lot of progress has been made. I think we got to give due credit to, it has taken time, but there has been movement. I think it's only going to go better. It's not going, I don't believe it's going to go worse, because things, you have the regional, you know, you recently had this East African community which is working very well indeed. Since I was at the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce, when I was at the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce, I used to participate regularly in those meetings, SADC, COMESA, different meetings. I was particularly interested in services, trade in services, so I attended a few meetings. Now I visit Africa again in another role as chairman of MindAfrica. I go to Africa quite regularly, and my gut feeling is that we are somehow sort of losing that competitive edge that we used to have. I think we really need to put our minds together and keep that sort of edge. I think that's very important.
Because if you look at the likes of Rwanda, the speed, the growing, Ethiopia, financial services, Tanzania, for example, Zambia, Botswana, if you don't do anything now, I think we are we'll be serious.
They will more than catch up on us. I mean, you know, at the time, when I was at the chamber, which is between 2001 and 2005, we used to have every year delegations from those countries coming to Mauritius and to learn about what I think they've learned quite fast. If we don't move at the same speed and try to keep the edge, I'm afraid it's going to be even more difficult for Mauritius. Having said that, we still have time. I think we still have time. We get our act together. There are lots of things that we can do to take advantage. You know, the type of infrastructure that we have in Mauritius, the reputation of Mauritius, the political stability of Mauritius, all these are now are sort of givens, and on which we need now, these are the foundations which are there, which are recognized. And now you have to build on this. Take financial services. You can't just keep, you know, with your DTAA and setting up of companies. You have got to add value to those processes. You've got to have more activities. You've got to have different financial products that are being promoted, and we have scope. We have scope to do that.